The quiet streets of Hudson, Ohio, seemed like the last place for a tragedy to unfold. But on a crisp spring evening in April 2023, a chilling discovery shattered the calm of this affluent suburb. "Radio, go back, get EMS out here." An officer's voice crackled over the police scanner, panic seeping through his words. Inside a stately colonial home on West Streetsboro Street, Dr. Todd Morgan, a respected professor and devoted father, lay lifeless on the floor, his blood pooling beneath him. What had started as a routine welfare check spiraled into a murder investigation that would unravel a web of secrets, scandal, and betrayal. For true crime enthusiasts who crave a gripping mystery, this case will pull you into a world of hidden lives and shocking motives. Stay with us as we uncover the clues that led police to a killer, and ask yourself, could you have solved it before the final piece fell into place? Miss this, and you'll miss a story that proves no one is ever truly what they seem. Background and setup: Hudson, Ohio, is a picturesque city nestled between Cleveland and Akron, known for its tree-lined streets and sprawling colonial homes. It's the kind of place where neighbors wave from their porches and children play safely in manicured yards. In this serene setting, Dr. Todd Morgan, a 41-year-old professor of business and finance at Cleveland State University, lived what appeared to be an enviable life. A graduate of Cleveland State with a PhD from Kent State University, Todd had built an impressive academic career, teaching at institutions in Massachusetts and Michigan before returning to his alma mater in 2021. His colleagues described him as intellectual, charismatic, and driven, a man who commanded respect in the classroom. But it was his role as a father that defined him most. Todd had 2 children, a 10-year-old son with his ex-wife, Teresa, and a nearly 5-year-old daughter with his ex-girlfriend, Mary. Those who knew him spoke of his boundless love for his kids. He was the dad who goofed around during video game marathons, challenged his children to dance-offs, and took them on trips filled with laughter. He was their world, his mother, Sandy, would later say, her voice breaking with grief. To the outside world, Todd was a dedicated father and a pillar of the community. But beneath this polished exterior, cracks were beginning to show. Todd's personal life was far more complicated than his professional facade suggested. His marriage to Teresa had ended after an affair with a student, a scandal that raised eyebrows in his academic circles. His relationship with Mary, the mother of his daughter, had also dissolved, though they maintained a civil co-parenting arrangement. Recently, Todd had been struggling with alcohol dependency, a battle he tried to manage through a breathalyzer app that sent sobriety updates to Mary. He was trying to get better, Mary later told police, her voice heavy with the weight of what might have been. There were also whispers of custody disputes and tensions with Teresa's new boyfriend, who reportedly felt threatened by Todd's presence. On April 19, 2023, the fragile balance of Todd's life unraveled. That afternoon, he was supposed to pick up his daughter from school, a routine he rarely missed. But when he didn't show, the school called Mary. She tried reaching him, her calls ringing unanswered. Concerned, she contacted the Hudson Police Department to request a welfare check. "He's never done this before," she told the dispatcher, her voice tinged with unease. "He wouldn't just forget her." As the sun dipped below the horizon, officers Peggy and Bowen arrived at Todd's home, unaware they were about to step into a scene that would haunt them. The officers approached the large colonial house, its long driveway flanked by neatly trimmed hedges. The air was still, the neighborhood quiet except for the distant hum of evening traffic. They knocked on the front door, no answer. Circling to the back, they found the door slightly ajar. "Hudson PD, anyone home?" Officer Peggy called out, her hand resting on her holster. Silence. Pushing the door open, they stepped inside and froze. There, just inside the threshold, lay Todd Morgan, sprawled on the floor in his dressing gown. Blood pooled around his head, stark against the hardwood. His temple bore a gaping wound, and the air carried the acrid scent of gunpowder. "Oh boy, there's a lot of blood," Officer Bowen muttered, his voice tight as he scanned the scene. Nearby, several 9mm shell casings glinted under the kitchen light. The officer's first thought was suicide, perhaps Todd had taken his own life. But something felt off. No gun was visible near the body. If it's a suicide, where's the weapon? Peggy whispered, her eyes narrowing. They moved cautiously through the house, their boots echoing in the stillness, searching for signs of life or danger. Upstairs, the scene grew stranger. At the base of the stairs, they found another 9mm shell casing, identical to those by Todd's body. Why is there a casing here? Bowen wondered aloud, his flashlight sweeping the area. In one of the children's bedrooms, a piggy bank lay toppled on the floor, coins scattered like forgotten treasures. The room was otherwise untouched, ruling out a chaotic robbery. In the master bedroom, the bed was unmade, sheets tangled as if someone had left in a hurry. Empty alcohol bottles cluttered the nightstand, and open condom wrappers littered the floor. This doesn't add up, Peggy said, her mind racing. If it was a robbery, why leave laptops and tablets in plain sight? Outside, the back door's frame was splintered, a piece of the lock lying on the deck a few feet away. Blood-spattered footprints led from the house, down the steps, and toward the driveway where Todd's Porsche SUV sat untouched. The prints were distinct, too large to belong to the officers or paramedics on scene. These aren't ours, Bowen confirmed, checking the soles of his boots. Someone else was here. The realization hit like a cold wave, this was no suicide. Todd Morgan had been murdered. Investigation as detectives descended on the scene, the investigation kicked into high gear. The autopsy revealed the brutal truth. Todd had been shot 7 times with a 9mm handgun, one shot delivered at close range to his Justice League, his clavicle wounds likely fatal within minutes. The medical examiner's report painted a grim picture of a man gunned down in his own home, his life snuffed out in a matter of moments. But who had pulled the trigger? The detectives combed through the evidence. 8 shell casings were recovered, but none of the firearms found in the house, 2 9mm handguns and a shotgun, all registered to Todd, matched the murder weapon. The missing cell phone was a glaring red flag. Todd's phone, which he used constantly, was nowhere to be found. If the killer took it, they might have been trying to cover their tracks, one detective theorized. The bloody footprints, identified as belonging to a specific Nike sneaker, suggested a single perpetrator had fled the scene, likely in a vehicle parked near Todd's Porsche. Neighbors became the next focus. Linda, a woman down the street, shared her suspicions about Todd. There was always something off about him, she told officers, her brow furrowed. He drove a fancy car, worked from home, renovated that big house. Where was the money coming from? Her daughter had babysat for Todd a year earlier, and Linda found his behavior odd, though she couldn't pinpoint why. He just gave me a bad feeling, she said. Brian, a retired grandfather next door, hadn't seen or heard anything unusual, but Eugene and Sherry, another couple nearby, provided a critical lead. They recalled hearing what sounded like gunshots around 7:20 a.m. that morning, initially mistaking them for a car backfiring. More intriguingly, they'd seen a light-colored crossover vehicle parked next to Todd's Porsche at 7 a.m. I saw someone come out of the house, grab something from the car, a package or a box, and go back inside, Eugene said. They were walking fast, not running, but quick. Sherry added, the person had long hair, shoulder length. I couldn't tell if it was a man or woman, but they were small-framed. Eugene's Ring doorbell footage offered a grainy glimpse of the vehicle, a silver crossover, possibly a Ford Taurus X, gone by 7:30 a.m. This timeline aligned with a bombshell discovery. A 911 call had been placed from Todd's address at 7:21 a.m., moments after the shots were heard. The call was silent, likely an accidental dial triggered by pressing an iPhone's power button 5 times. When police traced the phone's owner, it led them to Terriana Siobhan Denise Paschel, a woman from Akron with long dark hair and a silver Ford Taurus X. Detectives moved swiftly. At Terriana's listed address, the homeowner denied she lived there, refusing entry. She's staying with a friend in Valley, he said gruffly, offering little else. Undeterred, investigators obtained a search warrant for Terriana's phone data. It revealed her phone was at Todd's house overnight and moving at 60 miles per hour near Interstate 271 just 6 minutes after the 911 call. Shockingly, Todd's missing phone followed the same path before its signal went dead. She was there, a detective said, his voice low. And she took his phone. Further digging uncovered a chilling connection. A 9mm cartridge from the scene matched a firearm linked to an unsolved 2021 Cleveland homicide, where Terriana was the prime suspect and registered gun owner. Though she dodged charges in that case, the evidence here was mounting. Surveillance footage showed her tourist leaving the area that morning. Facebook photos placed her in the same Nike sneakers as the bloody footprints. Her DNA was found on a Black & Mild cigar and condom wrappers inside Todd's home. Days after the murder, she switched phones and searched online for "Can police track my phone even if I remove the SIM?" and articles about Todd's death, including one titled "Hudson Murder Victim Identified as Cleveland State University Professor." She searched her own name in connection to the crime 41 times. When brought in for questioning, Terriana denied knowing Todd or ever being in Hudson. "I don't know about my phone calling 911, she insisted, her voice flat. But the evidence was overwhelming. Messages on her phone revealed she and Todd had connected on Bumble, their flirtations moving to text. Her history included exchanges about out calls for prostitution, complete with price lists. On the morning of the murder, Todd sent her $50 via Cash App, followed by an unverified $1,000 transfer that required authentication he never provided. "People send me money all the time," Terriana said dismissively when confronted. But the detectives weren't buying it. "We have your DNA, your shoe prints, your phone data, your car on video," one said, leaning forward. "This is your chance to tell us what happened." She remained silent, her expression unreadable. Decision point: what do you think happened in those final moments? Was Terriana acting alone, or was someone else involved? Could the $1,000 payment have been a motive, or a red herring? Outcome and aftermath. Faced with an avalanche of evidence, Terriana's initial not guilty plea crumbled. On the day her trial was set to begin in September 2024, she accepted a plea deal: 20 years to life for aggravated murder, plus 3 years for a gun charge, with parole eligibility after 23 years. The deal spared Todd's family the agony of a trial, but the wounds remained raw. In court, Mary spoke of her daughter's loss. "She was only 4 when she waited at school for her dad," she said, her voice trembling. "I had to tell her someone hurt him, and he wasn't coming back. She curled up in my arms, hiding her face." Todd's mother, Sandy, addressed Terriana directly. "You brutally murdered my son for nothing," she said, her words heavy with sorrow. "You took a father from 2 beautiful children. They were his world, and he was theirs." Terriana's response was brief. "I'm very sorry," she said softly. "I hope one day you can forgive me." The judge sentenced her to 20 years to life, with a 3-year gun charge to be served consecutively, emphasizing the mandatory nature of the sentence. "You could serve up to life," he told her sternly. "Do you understand?" She nodded. "Yes, Your Honor." The Hudson community reeled from the news. Todd's death shattered the illusion of safety in their quiet suburb, and whispers of his secret life, affairs, alcohol struggles, and a possible connection to prostitution sparked heated discussions online and in local cafes. Some questioned how well they'd known the professor, while others mourned the loss of a man who'd been a light in his children's lives. "He was trying to turn things around," a colleague told a local reporter. "He didn't deserve this." Closing reflection: the murder of Todd Morgan is a stark reminder that even in the safest of communities, shadows can hide deadly secrets. A single moment, a fleeting decision, can unravel a life, leaving families fractured and questions unanswered. As we walk away from this case, we're left to wonder, what drove Terriana to pull the trigger? Was it a transaction gone wrong, a personal vendetta, or something deeper we'll never fully understand? For Todd's children, the loss of their father is a wound that time may never heal, a reminder that love and loss are often 2 sides of the same coin.